Happy to be back here live. It's been a while since I was not going live stream because I was traveling. I went to Uruapan where was my grandma like goodbye mass and I'm back. So yeah, let's try live streaming during the daytime. Right now the light sun rays are striking hard, so let's see how it goes. I'm just about to drink my beautiful Chinese tea. Can you see here? It's made with different herbs. By the way, there are some like Chinese tea. This is for women and there's for men as well. Maybe I can put up some in my e-commerce site so you guys can purchase. It's supposed to be very good for you in order to rest better, have less stress and overall health. I drink this every day. I love it. So in today's video we're gonna talk about like the questions regarding living in China as a foreigner. And the last time I was leaving the one of like how the was the healthcare system, or if I had any experience, bad or good, with it while I was living in China. So yeah, I did have a few experiences when I was living in China as a foreigner, regarding visiting or having the need of the healthcare system there and how did I end up handling the whole situation. So first of all, I want to tell you that while I was a student in VLCU, which means Beijing Language and Cultural University in Beijing, first I started there. There was a hospital by itself for the university. So the hospital was like a whole building of itself inside the university, which was very surprising for me because being from Mexico, as a third world country, it was like, wow, this is huge. There is a whole hospital inside the university. This is just awesome, right? Nonetheless, the hospital services were limited somehow. There were a few specialties, like for example you could visit the dentist and you could visit, there was surgeons there also to practice surgery, etc. But of course it was not like, you know although there you could make x-rays and you could have some special diagnosis, like taking you could take blood out and analysis, etc. But it was more like basic intermediate level, not like very high specialty doctors, etc. So if you guys are watching this video, are you listening clearly and seeing the image clearly? Hope you are. And let me know where are you from and do you prefer lives or recorded videos? Okay. So when I did visit this hospital a few times because I believe one time my mom was visiting and I took her for a stomach problem. And the doctor there gave her some pills which were very effective, and she really felt relief just a few hours after taking them. So she was very pleased and satisfied with the efficiency of the product as well as with the efficiency of the doctor itself. And I did visit that hospital after, I believe, for a flu, and they gave me these Chinese pills which were special, some kind of balls or like small pills made out of herbs, I believe, like small black pills. If you live there or visit there, you know which kind of pills I'm talking about. Or if you happen to have any Chinese pharmacy nearby. I don't think that these products are available here in Mexico because they are already like standard Chinese medicine packed with like, it's packed, it's not like herbs or anything that you have to make at home. However, I did got this medicine and it was super effective. It was very fast. It was great. And I did like it a lot, especially because it was not antibiotics and it was nothing like chemical or synthetic. I believe it was somehow a little bit less harmful than the Western medicine. So this was my experience just with a flu. And what I happened to saw, it was that whenever Chinese will feel sick, especially from flus or those kind of illness, they will run into hospital and they will put the how to call this thing. Anyways, it was very invasive. As for us Mexicans, we will not do that for a flu. We will not go to hospital. It is very up to us, quite extreme. If we have a flu, we just take some remedies, home remedies, or some, basic medicine, as you guys also have in the US, etc. But I saw that Chinese will directly go to the hospital and will let the water go inside their veins. How is this called? I'm not sure. Sorry for my lack in vocabulary. And my experience was that I was neighbors with one Iranian man in VLCU, and he has to be taking one of his wisdom tooth. And he went to this VLCU hospital, uni hospital, and they took him out the wisdom tooth. But I was very amazed and surprised that they didn't use any anesthesia, like nothing at all, because supposedly Chinese do not like to use this anesthesia. Like a lot of elderly, especially, maybe nowadays young people are not that eager to avoid anesthesia, but at least middle-aged to elderly, they say they don't require that because it's harmful for the body and somehow is not healthy. So they will accept to like run the whole procedure of taking out your wisdom tooth without any anesthesia. Is that right? Anesthesia? Anyways, I was very surprised that somebody will go through that process because it's super painful. I myself took my wisdom tooth in Beijing, but I decided to do it in it was a Western foreign hospital based in Sanlitun area. So it was a little bit expensive. It was almost 20 years ago. I remember each tooth costed me like 2,000 RMB. So in total it was like maybe 8,000, I believe. But it was painless and didn't got a swallow and everything went so well. Very smooth. By the way, it also was an Iranian doctor. So these two Iranian personalities are different. Hello, dear Natasha. And yeah, so in order for you to understand, if you are living in China and you do have a profession, yeah, there are some doctors, foreign doctors, they're working, dentists, etc. I also went afterwards for my heart diagnosis to a cardiologist, which was from Jordan, I believe. So yeah, and I was just very surprised that in this uni hospital in BLCU, they will be using no anesthesia to take out the wisdom tooth. And after that, this friend of mine also told us that somehow it got infected because the doctor left a little bit of like materia inside, and he sewed the skin and the material was inside, so it got infected. So he had to run for a second time to the BLCU University Hospital to open and to be taken out that material and, to sterilize, as well as to took some antibiotics for the infection, etc. So this was a little bit of a nightmare. So the healthcare system in China, it's just very different from the healthcare system here in Mexico. In Mexico, we usually have private doctors as well as we do have hospitals, but you go to hospital just in case that you are in a more severe situation. In case of a flu, stomachache, just like if you are barely can take yourself to stand up, you do not go to a hospital. You usually will consult a private doctor. And how is it that we end up going to private doctors? This will depend on upon your recommendation. Like we usually have a lot, like friends and family. How to say? Like our social environments will be the ones recommending us which doctor is the one to go. For example, in Mexico, I also did my nose. I had the rhinoplasty, which is basically I had some breathing problems previous to doing the surgery, and I did my surgery just before I was going to China to study my. It was after Beijing because in Beijing I got very sick. So after that, I got done my nose here, and I think the surgeon did a good job, although it's a little bit not that straight, but I think it looks okay. However, I will be very hesitant to do my nose in China because after all the experiences I was experiencing with my like classmates going to the university hospital, it was not that pleasant. Although it's not the case always, there are very, very good doctors in China. For example, I did my eyes here with LASIK also. I did the LASIK surgery because previous to that I was using glasses, as you may know. And I did this surgery 2019. By the way, that's why I take good care of my eyes using the blue light. Can you see? Whenever I'm using the computer or the cell phone and whenever I go out, because light is very intense for me, then I will use my sunglasses. And also, like, do not watch the screens when I am at night laying in bed and everything is dark and I'm just looking at the screen because it's just very harmful. So when I was doing my LASIK surgery here in Mexico, my doctor here in Guadalajara confessed me that he went directly to Shenzhen like around 20 years ago or more. It was over 20, maybe 30. And he trained the doctors there in Shenzhen to practice the LASIK surgery in Shenzhen. I was very amazed because when I was visiting him in order to prepare for the surgery, I was telling him like I was coming from China, I was living in China, and he was asking me where I was living, and then I said like I'm living in Shenzhen. And he was like, wow, I was there training doctors to also perform this surgery like 20, 30 years ago. This place was amazing. I believe his experiences must have been so exciting to be there training doctors around that time. Whenever Shenzhen was, Shenzhen is like 45 years old, so he was there when Shenzhen was like 10 years old or something like that. But also he went to Hong Kong, so he was performing his practices in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. So this is the cup that one of my subscribers gave me. It's black, and whenever I pour the hot liquid, it will show the image. This is the graduation from Shenzhen Uni. This is myself holding the Mexican flag. Maybe possible my history be okay, Natasha. So another thing about the health system there regarding is that I was very amazed that whenever you go to a hospital in China, it is very convenient and it is very cheap that you will pay for the how it's called, like registration fee. And when I was a student, it was super cheap. Maybe it was like 2 renminbi, something like that. And when I graduated and I went to just another normal hospital outside uni, it was around maybe 10 renminbi or something like that. So it was very, very cheap. That would be like maybe $1 to $3 registration fee for a consultation. That is like, what? I believe for the US, it's very cheap. I was in Australia just a while ago, and also the doctor's consultation fee was quite high. So if you're paying $1 to $3 US dollars for a doctor to like check up on you, it's quite cheap, yeah. So the WAHA or the registration fee was very cheap. And then you go directly to the specialist, which it depends on your case, whether you have a stomach ache, whether you want to see cardiologist, you want to see gynecologist, etc. So usually if there is like a hospital, just a normal hospital outside university, the hospitals are huge, they are big, and it's very convenient to go there because usually you don't have to wait in line for a whole lot of time. Compared to Mexico, it's quite a nightmare if you go to a hospital, even if it's private. We were just there a couple days ago. My mom went a little sick when we were in Uruapan. Sick to the point that I was quite scared. Therefore, I stopped recording videos here, guys. And I think she ate something wrong and she kind of got intoxicated. Anyways, so in China, it's super convenient that the you will not be waiting there for hours and hours to be consulted by a doctor. Usually it takes around 30 minutes or less. Sometimes it doesn't take any time as soon as you arrive to like the specialist, because usually you will get Wahao, you will get registered, and then you will go directly to the floor that the special doctor is working. There are a few floors in the building. So they will tell you, okay, go to the third floor, go to the second floor, go to the next floor. And then you will give the registration number there to the ladies, and then your number will appear in a screen whenever your turn arrives. And then you just have to go inside the door that it says there, and the doctor will very fast get to you. Compared to Mexico, if you go to private doctor, it's quite expensive. Usually doctors here, private doctors, are charging around $40 to like maybe 60 USD just for a consultation in a private doctor, which is basically not a hospital, just a doctor's home or a doctor's office somewhere around the city. We're talking about Guadalajara, by the way. Guadalajara is one of the maybe top-notch cities all around Mexico and all around the world regarding medicine. It's just very well known for doctors here. Therefore, my eyes doctor was performing and teaching Chinese to like perform a surgery 20 or 30 years ago in Shenzhen. That is just that good. Here you can find really great doctors. If you are from the USA, maybe you have heard about it. Some people also from the USA will come here to perform a surgery, and it will be cheaper than there. But however, here consultations were more expensive than they were in China. As I just mentioned, let's say when I was just outside uni, a consultation will be costing me maybe from 1 to 3 USD, and here will be from 40 to 60 USD. And apart from that, whenever you arrive to the private doctor here, maybe the private doctor here, the place is quite small and there are a few people waiting online. And sometimes, okay, my mom goes to this doctor, or not doctor, but it's a doctor, it's a dermatologist. She is very well known here in Guadalajara because she sometimes, somehow, gets to solve acne problems and very like severe skin problems. So she's very well known, recognized, popular. And this lady charges like, I believe maybe it's 50 to, no, it's not $60, sorry. Sometimes it's upon 80 USD for a consultation. Okay, so you will be charged this money, like 40 to $80 for a consultation here in Mexico. Plus, you will be waiting in line. Nonetheless, they have given you like a time reservation. Let's say my mom got a slot of 11 a.m. last time we went there. And the doctor just happened to, she will be giving these time slots to everybody, and everybody will be sitting there. And she had to wait it for like 4 or 5 hours to be seen by the dermatologist. So she just uses this technique because she doesn't respect much people's time, and like patients are just there waiting for their turns. And I just really dislike this, but this is the way she rolls. It's not always like this in every doctor in Mexico, but this gets to happen compared to China. If you get a registration number in the hospital, you directly go to the special department, and it will take no longer usually than 30 minutes for the doctor to get to see you. And here you have to wait sometimes a few hours, although you are paying that much amount for a consultation. You still have to be sitting there and just waiting for patients that are in front of you to be seen by the doctor. So that's quite annoying. Somehow it gets to feel that it's not respectful, but that's the way it is. So this kind of fast and efficient healthcare system in China somehow satisfied me in a way that I didn't have to wait in line that much, and I didn't have to pay that much. So that was two pluses. Like, it was so cheap, and it was so fast, and it was so efficient. As I was saying previous to that, if you're gonna get a surgery done in China, then you have to really maybe do some search about which doctor will be best. But how to do that research, I'm not very sure. If you guys somehow have experiences regarding that, you can comment. But if it's just a normal whatever, like, I don't know, just something wrong that is not that severe, it's okay to just go and check yourself. And also, if you there is another very big issue. Thank you very much, Natasha. That whenever you go to in consultations here in Mexico, let's say if you need to do X-ray or any kind of like study, that like analysis, like for the doctor to see what is wrong with you, then you will have to go to another place, because usually private doctors do not have the equipment there to be taking X-rays or to take out your blood. And I mean, you have to attend a special laboratory where they will take out your blood or take your X-ray, and then you have your final diagnosis and diagnostic. I mean, your final result, and you have to take that and get a new appointment with the doctor again, maybe a week or a few days from that day, or a few weeks after that, in order for the doctor to read the results and give you the final diagnosis regarding your illness. So this is quite time consuming and very annoying. In comparison to like China, the results of like blood work or like X-ray will be instant. Seriously, if you go to the hospital there, the blood work can take about 10 minutes to, at max, maybe 30 minutes to be ready. And there's machines there, and you get to be printed your result, and basically you can just go again with the doctor in the same building and get your diagnosis. Compared to Mexico, it's quite time taking to go first to a consultation, and then the doctor will prescribe you to go to a special lab to be taking your blood and whatever is that you need, maybe X-ray or other study, and then you will go to that special lab, and then and the special lab will not get the results ASAP in 30 minutes or that in that time frame. They will sometimes take maybe, if not that afternoon, maybe next day or 2-3 days time in order to give you the results. And then you have to go pick your results, and then you have to appoint a new time schedule in the doctor's office for him or her to read the results. So it's quite, it's not as efficient. I just believe it's not very efficient. It's just so time taking. And of course, if you are in a severe situation, you go to a hospital and the results will be faster there. However, this is what we usually do here in Mexico. We pay a lot more for private consultations, and we wait a lot more in order to see the doctor. And also, I noticed that in China, the cost of this blood work or like X-ray tomography was really much cheaper than in Mexico. Maybe 1/4 of the price here in Mexico. Here is quite expensive. In China, it's just very cheap. So yeah, if you need it or if you are in need to take any study, I will strongly recommend you that if you're in China, you can just go there and have it done because it's quite cheap. And then you can take that either to your country or to the Chinese doctor. So it's just cheaper, it's just faster, quicker, and I believe they must be very efficient because they produce or manufacture the machines there, so must be accurate, I guess, and up to date. Look, the cup is already becoming black. So I have one very bad experience regarding visiting the healthcare in China, and is that one of the times I was living there it was already in Shenzhen Uni. By the way, in Shenzhen Uni, we did have a hospital, but it was very small and not as, developed and not as equipped as in BLCU in Beijing. Of course, BLCU was a bigger university and it was the capital of China, so I believe it must be better than Shenzhen Uni. In Shenzhen University, we did have a university hospital, but it was just small. So I tried to avoid going there, and whenever I was feeling bad when I was studying in Shenzhen, I will go just to the hospital that was in front, a few blocks from the university, Shenzhen Uni, which was called Nanshan Hospital. And one of the times I was having a very awful cough that was caused because I just had a sore throat. A sore throat became, I believe, a flu. A flu became a cough, and I was not taking the best care of myself. And what ended up happening, it was that I got a cough, and I started coughing to the point that I was coughing blood out of my system, and I got very scared. And I was constantly non-stop coughing. So I did, somehow I was quite scared, and I arrived to Nansha Hospital, and I was like, please, how, like, register me. I want to check the doctor. And whenever I went to the doctor, he prescribed me an x-ray of my chest to see how bad was, my lungs area. I don't know if it was an x-ray, but somehow it was, this. And somehow I had a lot of mucus in there and I had infection. So he diagnosed me with pneumonia, and they prescribed me that I should stay in the hospital just ASAP. Like I couldn't go home anymore. I will just be there. And I came back to the university dorm and I took all my things and I went back to the Nanshan Hospital. I was just very scared. I was living in Shenzhen Uni maybe for about 2 years. And I just myself went in Nanshan Hospital and I stayed there for 5 days, 4 nights, I believe, in the area of like lung and respiratory problems. And in that floor, there were a few elderly people, elders, with the help of big machinery in order for them to breathe. So whenever I took, rounds around the floor, it was quite hard to see that maybe those people will be not waking up the next day. And from the window of that room, I could see my university. And I was really missing to be with the other students, to be healthy and playing in my uni. And that was a very sad and somehow just one of the maybe scariest moments while I was living in China. And by the way, I also didn't tell my parents that I was sick and I had pneumonia because I didn't want them to be worried. So I just went in by myself, and my friends in the uni will come to see me to the room and will bring me some foods also because, I had a special diet. At that time, I was not vegan, but I was already vegetarian. So I couldn't eat like foods that the hospital would provide. And by the way, so many times these hospital foods are really not healthy at all, no matter if you are a meat eater or not. It's just like they are just so unhealthy. So many of my friends or classmates back then will bring me foods and will be comforting me. And I had the drip the whole time, but because they did put a big dose on me, I got like very weak from the antibiotics. And I was just very scared. And when it was the fifth day, they were allowing me to go because I was like supposedly I was better. But as soon as I went out of the hospital, just I don't know if it was that afternoon or the next day, I started coughing again, and I was just so done with that. I didn't want to go back to the hospital, and I was wondering and questioning why or what went wrong after being in hospital for 5 days with the drip on me, with all those antibiotics. I was not really getting what was the problem. Like, I'm not going back. I'm not going to be there for another 5 days. My body is just too weak to take another strong dose of antibiotics. So I would just avoid going to the hospital again. So what I end up decide doing is that I did a research and I found out that there was a Chinese medicine hospital in Futian area. It was exactly in a metro stop. I just forget what is the name of that metro stop. But anyways, I end up discovering this place. I went there for the first time and I was like, I want to see a doctor. I had these symptoms. I went to a hospital. I stayed there for 5 days. I recovered supposedly, but I'm coughing again and I really don't want to go back to the hospital because I don't think it was somehow efficient and it is just so draining to be there. So they assigned me a Chinese medicine doctor, which became my friend, who became my friend and my really great doctor after all. Even now, he still sends me WeChats and asks me when I'm going to go back to China. So he diagnosed me, okay, you have pneumonia. It's called Feiyan in Chinese. Feiyan. Yan is infection and Fei is like the lung infection. And he gave me a prescription of different herbs, Chinese herbs. And in that same hospital or Chinese medicine hospital, they had these herbs. So you will purchase them directly from there and they will mix them and they will put them in like drinks. They will look like this. And you have to drink the whole entire bag. It's just a black liquid. It's very bitter. And you have to take them maybe one every 5 hours or one every morning and night, or maybe 3 times a day. So I started taking those bags and I was super amazed when my cough stopped just after the second take. And that was the beginning of my love towards Chinese medicine, because I was experiencing and I did experience how was it like to be in an like hospital, taking the Western medicine, taking the antibiotics, being there without having any result, and feeling more drained, more sick, more weaker, even after the 5 days of like the treatment, going out and falling down again to the same cough. And as soon as I start taking the Chinese teas, like the Chinese traditional medicine doses, it took me like 2 takes just to feel better. And I was just so happy and so relieved because I start feeling stronger also. Somehow, these Chinese herbs, it's not like they will attack something and will destroy another thing. It's just works overall very well with your whole system. So it's not harmful. I do believe it's not harmful, but it's helpful to the overall body. And I start feeling energized. I start feeling somehow motivated again because I was just so drained. And I was very grateful that I myself somehow ended up discovering this place and consulting this doctor. And afterwards, every time I did have a problem regarding my health, I will just avoid going to the hospital, no matter the uni hospital, the national hospital, the whatever hospital. I went directly to my Chinese doctor, Chinese medicine hospital, and he will just prescribe me Chinese bitter teas. So many foreigners are very reluctant to take these teas because they are bitter and it's not convenient as the pills. And some people say it takes longer, but upon my experience, it just took really, it was faster and it was easier. And I didn't have like the, you know, effects, consequences of taking antibiotics, like maybe stomach pains, etc., with the Chinese teas. So big thumbs up for the Chinese medicine. And I was consuming just Chinese medicine until I left China. And I will still consume Chinese medicine for now and ever. By the way, I have here one, I want to show you. This is something that has Chinese medicine on it. So whenever, for example, if you're sitting and working for too long, you put it here in your shoulder and it just relieves you from the pain because it does release that stress from your muscles. It's with Chinese medicine. It does smell like Chinese medicine. Let me show you. So it's something like this. Okay, I'm not gonna use it now. So it's something like that, but you have to wear it. Well, I'm not gonna wear it now. Just for you to see what a fan of Chinese medicine I am now after going through so many different experiences in China. I'm not saying for you to not go to the hospital in any case that you need, if it's an emergency, but if you have the chance, do try Chinese medicine, hospital Chinese medicine doctor. Sometimes it is more costly, even the treatment at the hospital was cheaper than the medicine, Chinese medicine that this doctor gave me. It's not cheap, it's not that expensive, but it's just much better for your health, for your body. Doesn't harm your other organs and doesn't let you drain. So this was two of my experiences. I didn't tell you much about my tooth, but I took my wisdom tooth with a foreign doctor in Beijing and everything went well. My friend took the wisdom tooth with a Chinese doctor in the uni hospital. It didn't go well. I'm not saying it won't go well if you take it there, but just be careful. And of course it has to do with the price and the quality of the service. Like, for real, it couldn't be that cheap and it couldn't be the same. And my experience regarding having pneumonia, being at the hospital for 5 days, and just realizing the treatment was not working and going to the Chinese medicine hospital. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give this video a thumbs up if you did so. Be welcome to either contact me or support me on the links down below, and see you on the next one. Kisses. I do have another story, but that story is quite long and quite hard to tell. I did got sick afterwards, and it was previous to that, because Chinese medicine doctor and pneumonia was when I was already in Shenzhen, and previous to that I was in Beijing, and I didn't know anything about Chinese doctors, otherwise I would have gone there, but that will be on the next video. So yeah. Yay!